Chapter 2. A Test of Survival. At first, Snowdrop Hawthorne found it hard to love himself. He didn't understand why he was so hated, why other Spikeshufflers looked the other way, but he believed deep down it had to be his fault. Although he was white from the tip of his nose to his feet, he somehow felt dirty. One morning, when the air was still enough to ensure there would be no ripples, Twig took Snowdrop to the great pond and told him to look down from the grassy bank into the water.
"It is only ignorance, the fear of what they don't understand,"
explained Twig solemnly.
"You see, you were born different from any other Spikeshuffler in Merlin's meadow. You are the colour of snow and I am the colour of the earth. That makes you special, but it also makes you vulnerable, and that's why we must work extra hard to protect you."
Snowdrop watched his reflection staring back, and a single tear sent his white outline shimmering in circles across to the middle of the pond, where a razor-toothed pike leapt at a fat dragonfly and shattered the picture completely.
"Why did I have to be different? Why couldn't I be just like the others?"
he said, almost to himself. He sensed that one day he would have to make his own way in the world, without his mother and father. It was the way with all animals, but not just yet. It took time and love and patience, but Snowdrop gradually came to terms with who he was, what he looked like, and he learned to accept the way he was treated by those who knew no better. There was so much to learn, and he couldn't be lonely, not with 3 brothers and a sister to play with and snuggle up to. In the early days, he was not allowed to venture away from the nest. Like the others, he was taught to catch grubs, slugs, and even small mice that strayed too close. They were warm, blissfully happy days, burying himself into his mother's side whenever he felt the need. Sometimes it was an unexpected sound or smell that sent him scurrying to her, but often it was just because she was there and he needed to be close to her. When night fell, she would tell him stories about the world beyond the meadow and show him how to trace the shapes of animals in the stars that pricked the vast black blanket covering the meadow. He loved her as much as he could imagine, but as the weeks passed and he grew stronger, he began to be less dependent on his mother and spend more time with his father. He was allowed to wander further afield as long as Twig was with him, guiding him in the ways of the meadow, instilling in him the need to respect all living things, even those it was necessary to eat. The bond between father and son grew stronger with each day, much more than with the other Hawthorne youngsters. Twig loved them all, of course, but he knew that Snowdrop would need extra help if he were to make his way in the world. They became as close as the bark around a tree, venturing through the trails of the meadow, exploring so much that was new. The dazzling green foliage with its never-ending array of bugs and butterflies, and the sunbeams that bounced off the shimmering leaves, carrying the sounds of the birds down to the earth. Snowdrop learned the importance of rolling in the loose undergrowth so that grass and bits of wood stuck to his spikes, providing priceless camouflage. At first he thought he would never be able to flip himself over onto his back. It wasn't natural and it was exhausting, but Twig urged him on, and eventually he found himself upside down and looking up at the sky, the fantastic, mesmerizing sky which went on for ever and ever. Before long he could flip over and back again at will, then roll himself into a ball so tight that he was half his normal size. The test came when they heard the sound of the whistler approaching through the crunchy grass. He was a human who frequently came to the river to catch fish with a strange long stick thing, and he always whistled like a giant happy bird. He came within feet of the 2 rolled-up Spikeshufflers, but his enormous mud-caked boots kept striding past, and the whistling faded tunefully into the distance. It showed that Snowdrop was almost ready. Rooting out food and rolling into a camouflage ball were things that Twig could teach his son. But there was something else, something that would be key to his son's survival that could not be taught because it was a gift he had been born with. It first came to light when a startled hare clattered clumsily out of a copse, bouncing high into the air in a mad panic, then streaking across the meadow as if its tail were on fire. To Twig's amazement, Snowdrop started running too, in the opposite direction. Well, it was an awkward kind of scuttling, really, with his bottom wiggling as he went, but it was running nonetheless. Spikeshufflers don't run very fast. They're not built for it, but Snowdrop was special. His father had always said it, and it was true. Not only could he run, but he could run pretty fast. Not as speedy as a hare, of course, but quick enough to be unique in the history of Spikeshuffler.